if you go to District Rain FC on YouTube, it'll show up that we're coming in live on YouTube. So let's see how this goes. Again, if you go to the, so I've got it live on YouTube. And then we're here on Zoom. So I'm going to record on Zoom as well. And we'll go ahead and get started. So real quick, some introductions. I'm Matthew Gillick, the Executive Director and U23 Manager for District Rain. I scout for DC United as well. And that's how Paco and I met. And then Sammy and I met through Paco. So Sammy Kahsai, am I saying that right?
Sure.
Perfect. Player for the Riverhounds. You spent last season with them, right? First professional season. And Paco is your agent.
Yes, sir.
Right? Those are the most bare minimum of introductions. If you guys want to step in with anything else, kind of flesh it out.
I'll go ahead and I'll start it off. Well, Sammy and I were high school teammates, 2009, 2010.
Yep.
Products of Prince George's County Public Schools. So then I went to University of Maryland right after graduating from Northwestern, and I focused on sports management and specifically in the soccer industry, from soccer media and marketing to understanding the business and infrastructure of it. And then throughout my connections, working with DC United as an intern years ago, I met Matthew, was previously a scout for DC United's academy, and that led me to meet more people in the soccer world, and then Sammy reached out, and he was killing it in college, and we'll get to that. I'm gonna let him talk about his college career, and then after his fantastic career, I wanted to help him kind of take that to the next level and a step further. And it was a challenging yet wonderful experience, I'd say, for us both. You really on TV you see the glamour of being a professional athlete, but behind the scenes it's a lot of work and sacrifice that goes into it. So then now, I represent Sammy, CEO of Golden Generation Management. It's a soccer agency, licensed and recognized by the U.S. Soccer Federation. So I can represent soccer players here in the U.S.
Nice. That's a lot. We're gonna get to a lot of the agent stuff a little bit later too.
As you can see, he does all that. I just go there.
Sure. So you played for UMBC before coming to the Riverhounds, right?
Yeah. So I came to the States at the age of like 6, going to 7.
Right.
Then started like 3rd grade here, elementary school. Went to play middle school. Paco actually went to you went to Nicholas Home, right, Pac?
Hydesville.
Okay. We went to the same middle school, same high school, and then left high school. Paco, I think he had 2 or 3 years on me, and then we left there. Took a year off actually. I took a gap year and played for DC United Academy.
Right.
So obviously, you come out of PG PG public schools. You don't really get the luxury to have scouts at the games, So we didn't have that luxury. So I had to take a different route. I went to so I just said, I'm gonna go and try to. I went to DC United Academy and try it out. Luckily, I mean, worked hard, did well, and every obstacle that was thrown at me, you know, I was getting over it. Then got on the team, so I decided to take a year off, played there for a year, and then that was 2013, 2014. I had a lot of also like a lot of friends that went to Washington at Venice.
Mhm.
So I was like, you know what, like getting a decent amount of money. School wasn't the best, but you know, it was Adventist school. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not Adventist, but I'm Christian. But so I went that route, and you know, played with most of my former teammates, and then I knew that once I went there, I wanted to play Division One.
Right.
Since I didn't have the luxury of others that you know that coaches come and see them play, you know, go to combines. I didn't have that in my locker. So I went a different route. Went to Washington Adventist, did well with the intentions of going there, playing a year, and getting out. So luckily, I did well. We actually went to the tournament. Stats wise, I had good stats. I think I had like 14 goals with like 3 assists, and then I went on to UMBC. UMBC went there sophomore year, 2014. Didn't have the best start. I had to adjust to Division One speed of play and all this stuff. Uh, then mid to end of my first year there, started playing a lot. Started like the last eight 9 games, and then after that it's kind of history. Then I junior year started every game, played every minute. Going into senior year, I did really well junior year, so I was like, hey man, I possibly got a shot getting drafted. So then I just kept working, kept grinding, kept trying my best, kept going at it. Senior year, we didn't make the tournament, so it's tough if you're not at a Maryland or like a Wake Forest or like a Stanford. If you don't make the tournament, then luckily you won't get drafted.
Right.
Luck. So we didn't make the tournament. We made conference. We went to like conference semis, and we didn't make the tournament. So I had to go a different direction again. I mean, I did well. Got first team conference, and I got all the awards, but still felt a little bit short of getting drafted. Mm-hmm. So then, we went on a journey to go on trials. Went overseas for a year after I graduated. Then came back, and then me and Paco connected, and we tried to get on the team, get on the USL team, going that route. The journey wasn't sweet, man. It wasn't flying colors, but we found a team. We found a team.
Yeah.
Now that's where we were. 2019. We went an open tryout with Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Then got called back to the invitational trial, and then got called into preseason, and I did well. God grace, I got on the team, and it was one hell of an experience. We won the Eastern Conference. We fell a little short in the playoffs, but it was a great ride.
Yeah.
At least.
I remember that period of because I was talking to Paco a lot from the MLS draft to all the trials that you were going on, and how stressful was that for both of you?
Oh man, you're in the middle of one trial. I was with Sammy and Charlotte, Charlotte Independence, and they had a partnership with the Colorado Rapids. And I met Sammy down there. I think it was your second day, Sammy.
Yeah, I was there.
For a combine, they called him, and then literally we're like, okay, we're gonna get back to Maryland, and then then look to see what's next on the list. And then while we were there, Red Bulls calls and sends us and contacts Sammy's coaches, and they contact Sammy, and then Red Bulls then wants to see him, and then we need to start booking now a trip to New York. And then Lansing Ignite was a new team coming in Michigan, and then we had to then book a trip to Michigan, and pieces were just moving all over the place, and we had to adapt.
Yeah, I would say it was stressful, man. Man, we were traveling back. We were everywhere, man. Going from East Coast to West Coast, it was stressful, especially not knowing, because you don't get an answer. We're gonna give you a call back, and it's like, oh man, what's next?
Yeah. So how long were you on the road just doing trials?
How long? we went from here to Charlotte, came back. It was just like back to back to back to back because all the trials at the same time, preseason and invitational trials.
Right.
But I think what helped Sammy big time was his profile. Teams are watching. Now I'm not sure how much now, but at least in that period, teams are watching Division I college games. They're watching to see who's making the headlines. And I think to Sammy's benefit was his performance, his consistent performances on the field. Made him a headlining player week in and week out, especially against ranked teams. Maryland getting the assist and tying them, and they were number 3 in the nation. That was huge. And then I think you got the winning goal, right? You're too modest, but you got the winning goal against New Hampshire. They were number 14 in the nation that week.
My senior year, we had a tough schedule, and we played like all ranked schools, and we did really well against every ranked school. We played West Virginia; they were like top 20, and we like demolished them like 3-0 or something like that. So
yeah, I'm from West Virginia, man.
Oh, you are.
No, that's awesome. Having consistent performances definitely helps when you're out there on the road. To back up and kind of talk about the pacing, because we have a lot of players that are trying to go from playing club or high school to go into a college and then kind of follow a similar path to what you have. Can you talk a little bit about the pacing of play? You spoke a little bit about speed of play, moving from Adventist to UMBC.
Yeah, I think speed of play grows at every level. It progresses gradually. Went from even high school to the academy level. The speed of play goes a little bit higher. Then from the academy to a Division II NAIA school, it goes a little bit higher. And then from there to like a Division I school, it was fast. And I thought it wouldn't get any faster. I went on to the pros, man. You have less time on the ball because everything is a pressure and cover. You have less time. I think at every level it progresses.
How did you adjust, because you played at a lot of different levels?
I think just pushing the tempo, man. at a certain point, there's not much you could do. You're just training with the team, and you're eventually gonna adapt to the system, adapt to the speed of play, because hey, you turn one time without looking, or if you think you have enough time, you get tackled. Oh, next time, you're not gonna do that. So like, you could adjust, but more likely you got to kind of be in the situation to
right,
understand the situation.
Okay.
It'd be in a difficult situation.
With the levels as well, there's less time to think about next time, right? Like, oh, next time I won't miss this tackle. There might not be a next time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you were playing in college. How did you make the jump academically? As a student athlete going from Adventist to UMBC, how did that impact your playing as well?
What do you mean?
So you were in school as a student athlete, right? Yeah. You're performing at a really high level. How were you able to kind of balance being a student and being an athlete of a high caliber?
So a lot of people don't understand kind of like when you're a student athlete. So at the Division II level, I guess it was kind of a little bit more tough because we didn't have the luxury of study halls. We didn't have the like a community of athletes because it wasn't that many sports. You know what I mean?
Right.
But whereas when you go into a Division I sport, they take care of you. Like you have to meet requirements. Like there's like you do 10 hours a week. You have to meet on your own, and then there's like 3 times a week where you have to attend study halls. You can't be late for an hour. All you're doing is doing work. So with those times, it helps you. You still have to do more on your own. Obviously, you gotta stay disciplined. You can't. There's a party on Tuesday nights. You can't go. You got training the next day. So like obviously you still got to be self-disciplined. But for the most part, like at a Division I level, if you're in that system, then you have to meet some requirements. And that enables you to keep going and stay focused, stay on track with all your work.
Yeah. Do you think that some of that self-discipline carried over into your professional life as well?
Oh yeah, at the pros, you train literally. You have training 10 a.m. to like maybe 12:30, and then 1 o'clock to the remaining. You have the whole day to do whatever you want. So like, you have to stay. You got to stay on track. Like you have maybe get another workout in maybe 5 to 6. Maybe get a gym workout. You know what I mean? If you're in
Yeah.
season, or if it's a Monday, you have a game on Sunday, you could possibly get another run in. So you kind of do have to be disciplined, because if you're not, nah, you could easily go downhill. Easy, because you have so much time. You know what I mean? It's so much time, especially at the pros.
Right.
It's a lot of free time.
Yeah. How did you manage your free time?
So I went to library. I went some day. I had a schedule. I had a plan kind of.
Mhm.
So what I did on Monday to Tuesdays, I'll get an extra work. We have games on weekend. So the Thursdays, the Fridays is where I'm relaxing, kind of going like, going little dates, go movies,
With the mental stuff.
like, yeah, mentally get your stuff, get your head on it right,
Right.
swivel.
Yeah, for sure. Paco, so at the time that he's kind of going through this whole transition, and you're stepping into a role to represent him as an agent, what's the difference in work requirement for an in-season player versus during a window for possible transfers and things like that?
So for the period that Sammy finished his college season, there's a gap, right? There's the NCAA tournament happening, and then after that, that's when the MLS combine and the draft go on. So for that period, just making sure Sammy has the support and resources that he needs. Making sure that he has this trainer, that he's following his regimen, making sure that I'm able to connect him somewhere where he'll have constant access to stay in shape. But fortunately for him, college players, they're given that. For the period he was in off season out after college, that's when the real test comes in. But fortunately, just being able to have those resources for them, having friends that were former trainers for pro players or national team, they're able to whip up workout plans, nutrition plans, and just making sure that Sammy's informed, finding him the best quality training possible, and in the meantime as well, finding him the opportunities. It's a name game. It's about who you know. As many teams that saw him play, there's also many teams that didn't. So just being able to obtain the contacts of different USL teams, like on the West Coast, down south, etc., to send them Sammy's profile, just to try to get him a call up. And fortunately, we were able to get some opportunities for him as well.
Nice. So the work for you doesn't stop. It's always updating what's going on with the player, right?
Always. One day, literally one day, it could be, all right, we, helping him with the logistics with traveling. And, one day it's like, we're going to LA, and then North Carolina is in 2 weeks. And then out of left field, he gets a call back for Pittsburgh. So then now it's just maneuvering like, okay, let's weigh out the options, and it's just strategizing on trying to get the best possible deal, and the best possible option for him. It's not just there's a lot of factors that go into it, right? You don't just if you have the luxury to be able to choose, and have more options. That's a kind of a position a player wants to be in. Right. You want to play for a team where you fit the system, somewhere where you'll get more minutes. It's I think for Sammy's first contract, we were more concerned for the minutes and opportunity for growth versus the money. The money will come for athletes. But I think when you're breaking into the scene, you want to go somewhere where you'll make a name for yourself. And I think Sammy did a great job with his rookie year at Pittsburgh. He made a headline on his debut season. You know,
Yeah. I have that goal pulled up. That goal is sick. So I'm gonna share my screen so that we can everybody can watch that goal, because I want to get your thoughts, like what was going through your
team we've yet to see Ottawa face this season has been Indy 11. And there's an effort from distance with Irving off his line.
That's just ridiculous, dude. Scoring from anytime you're scoring from that position on the field is just wild. But to win the ball back like that, did we lose Sammy? There you go. I don't know. Sammy, you still with us? No. Well, that was a strange time to.
He'll probably be jumping right back in. But no, it was an awesome goal. I remember I was actually out of the country at the time. I was out in the I was outside of the country, and then I get a message on WhatsApp saying, "Hey, oh, there he goes.
Hey."
Sammy, you with us?
Sorry about that, lost connection.
No worries. Brilliant goal, and for your first professional goal, I can't think of a better way to put that in.
Oh yeah. You can't.
What was going through your mind though?
Man, I think I intercepted the ball top of the like mid pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna play someone in, and I took a glanced up, and the keeper was at the 18, and he was backpedaling. So I was like, man, you might as well give it a try. As soon as it left my foot, it was like the perfect measurement. And as soon as I seen the keeper backpedal and fall into the net, man, there was no better feeling than that. You can't beat that. They say you're never gonna forget your first. So
right.
That was a great first goal, I'd say.
No,
definitely, man.
He scores that, and I get a message on WhatsApp, and my phone's blowing up, and people are messaging me, "Did you see Sammy's goal? Did you see Sammy's goal?" I'm like, "What do you?" So I'm trying to get internet reception. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and then I see. I'm thinking. I'm not even imagining a 45-yard chip. I'm like, all right, he probably got his first goal. They got to win. Okay, must have been, I see this and I'm just like, whoa. And I'm replaying it like 10 times because I couldn't believe it. And it was really something special.
Yeah, it was a good time, good moment for sure.
Yeah. That goal is fantastic. I'm glad that we could pull that up. You see in the comments all the accolades that you're gonna be getting from. That's fantastic, man.
I think they gave you a nickname, didn't they, at Pittsburgh?
What? Why try?
Why try?
Why try?
Why not, man? That's brilliant. So you got your first goal. Let's rewind a little bit. What was the first thing that you did after you signed that first professional contract?
I just knew I was there for 10 months and I'm going to give everything I got to earn as much minutes as I can to the club. And just grit, man, all grit and just work, man. Just, you got to do twice a day, 3 times a day, straight grit and just grind it out. Hard work, man. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. As cliche as that sounds, man, you got to put in the time. You got to put in the extra hours.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of things that in any professional endeavor that a lot of young people miss is they see like, oh, he's banging them in. It's a beautiful goal, but they don't see the rest of the iceberg underneath where it's everything that you had to put in to make that first goal happen.
Right, exactly.
So that's definitely a great way to confirm it for them. Let's kind of skip down. So a couple of questions, right? That are coming from some of the Instagram stuff that we've done. What else do you do besides soccer?
while I was there or while I'm here now?
You can do, current quarantine, you can do while you're at Pittsburgh. Either way, anyway, up to you.
In Pittsburgh, I had like I told you earlier, I had my schedule was kind of rigorous. So like on Mondays I'll do this, Tuesday. So I had a set like a schedule Monday to Friday, that stuff that I would do. My Mondays and Tuesdays was kind of strictly focused on my fitness. So Mondays after training, I'll come, rest, take a nap, and then Monday evening I'll go in the gym. I'll check in with Paco. Always check in, check out. So I check in, I'm in the gym, So Thursdays and Fridays, I'm usually relaxing, especially if we have a game, if you have a home game. Whereas if you have an away game, you're actually leaving for a Saturday game. Sometimes you leave Thursday, sometimes you leave Friday.
Right.
So if we have a home game, we usually like go down to the park, go down to like, just some amusement stuff, just again, like get your head on, just kind of relax a little bit. And yeah, that was kind of my plan. I stuck to that for the most part of the time there in Pittsburgh. Now, quarantine, I'm doing. It's tough times, man. It's tough, but again, safety's first, So I'm usually inside. So mornings where there isn't that many people out, I usually go for a run 3-4 times a week. I usually come home and like do some, like some home workout, self weight, just do push-ups and like sit-ups and squats and just strengthen my own self and just touch the ball in my backyard as much as I can. But now it's kind of just, just staying inside and staying safe for the most part. I'm doing virtual classes online here and there, like once a week, where I'm coaching, like doing speed and agility, some ball mastery stuff, just getting some coaching in also virtually at the moment. But besides that, I mean, just safety first, man. You got to stay inside.
Yeah. And then as a professional player, I can imagine that you're also doing a lot of maintenance, right? So we talk a lot about nutrition and like, I mean, I'm baking all of the time, man. I got the ingredients, I got the time, so I'm baking. My wife is like, "You're trying to make me fat now." No, I'm trying to focus my time. I made some Danishes today, so I'm trying to keep the weight off of myself as well. But for a professional, how do you maintain? And then how do you build to go forward?
Yeah, man. It's again, you got to have a plan. Stick to the plan as much as you can. Like you can't you can't be at home not doing anything, because by the time season starts, or by the time you get a call to come on trial, then you're out of shape. By the time that time takes, it's past already.
Right.
So you got to do everything it takes, man. Like morning today, like I went for a little run. So now today, after I get off this call, I'll probably do some stuff at home just to maintain, core. At least do some core, do something. I can't. I just don't feel right if I'm home, just sitting home, and staying home and not doing nothing at all, because then I know I'm losing a day. You know what I mean? Like, so I have to at least do something to be productive and just keep fitness, even if I'm not in the actual practice. I'm still kind of like maintaining my body and keeping my weight.
Yeah.
And actually, Matthew, that was something very important, Sammy, that you remember in your off season, making sure that he followed a strict nutrition guide as well as a workout guide. Because from that gap after his college season, we weren't sure of how soon he was going to get called into a combine or preseason, and it's competitive. Once you hit that level, you're no longer just playing just because you're trying to find a team. At that point, you're playing for a job. You're playing for a contract. And if you don't seize the opportunity, then the window starts to close. But fortunately, Sammy stayed in shape, and a couple of teams called him. Even first team training with DC, for instance, and Sammy was able to just hop in a month after his college season, and he was still in top form just because he was able to maintain.
Yeah, I think the uncertainty right now, like when is the season going to be truly coming back? Like when are you going to be going and being in the next training sessions in person? An uncertain start date for the entire industry can make maintenance a little more difficult mentally.
But I mean, nowadays it's 21st century. We have so much resources, you know.
Yeah.
we could easily stay on it. So it's how bad do you want it for the most part for me. That's how I look at it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of resources that we have now that we didn't have 10 years ago. So if this happened 10, 20 years ago, then possibly we could make excuses. But now, since we have all these resources, you type in on YouTube, man, a workout, a home workout with this type, with this much space, with this type of equipment, you're going to find something.
Right.
So making, I mean, you got to want it, you know. You got to stay in shape. That's take care of your bodies, know what you're eating. Nutrition is, like Paco said, is very important. And yeah, just got to stay focused.
Brilliant. So talk about that. So specifically for the Riverhounds, when we've talked about fitting into a system before, what was it like playing for Bob Lilly, and what was it like fitting into the system that he plays?
It was challenging. I mean, fitting into a system, it's not an easy task, especially if I didn't really. So when I was in college, I didn't really look into a lot of the USL, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Even the MLS, to be honest. I was on MLS, DC United, you know, the local team, so I watched them, but I was more into, like, you know, watching the Europe style. So I didn't really know much about the USL before. I literally, like, maybe like 3 months before I got in. So I didn't really know about Bob Lilly. But once I signed the contract, you know, talking to the guys, that helps you, you know, just fitting in, man. It wasn't easy. That transition was not easy because he plays a complete defensive style. So we played a 5-2-1-2. So I'm one of the two in midfield. So that's like covering so much ground, where I'm used to playing a 4-3-3, you know, like a 4-2-3-1. So it definitely took time. Like, if you maybe check the stats, like going into the beginning of the season, it took me time. So I didn't really just go into like playing straight in the first game. So it took me like 2, 3, you know, like couple games to like see how the team is performing, studying the guys that's playing in my position. And then gradually, you know, once my numbers have been called and I performed, and like I just focused on exactly what he wanted and how he wanted. And the professional level is difficult because if he tells you to skip, if you're going A to B, and he tells you don't play B, go straight to C, then you have to do that. You know what I mean? Like that's what tactically you have to do what the coach wants.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, if you're playing club, if you're skipping B to go to C, then that's fine. Whereas, like, at the professional level, you can't. You got to just sit there and study his system, study what he wants. If he doesn't want this pass, if he wants this long ball, if he wants to shift this way, you got to just sit there and study the system and just do it to the best as you can.
Right. And I think that's what we're trying to do on a club level, so that there's not a gap. Right. So we're trying to learn the systems. We're trying to learn the expectations from, you know, professional level. Like, this is what we're expecting you to do. If the coach doesn't trust that you're going to be able to carry this game plan out, then, you know, you're going to be on the bench, and, you know.
Right. Exactly.
So I think that's definitely a good point. And that's what we're trying to do.
The transition was
right. I can imagine that would have been a little bit easier. Especially like in the DMV, 4-3-3 is everywhere. And if you're playing for 10 years, one system, and then immediately first contract is in a different system.
It was not easy. It was a challenging transition, I tell you that. But you got to adapt. But you have to adapt any system you play, and I think that's one of my I guess good attributes that I have is adapting to any system. I can't just go from 1 to 2 just like that, but it takes me a little time, maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to like a couple games in, and then eventually I adapt. When I went from high school level to the DCs, I wasn't playing just like that. Right. It takes a little time to adapt. You adapt, and then you got to adapt quick, as fast as you can. As you grow, you got to adapt quicker and quicker. So I think that's one of my good attributes that I have, is being able to adapt. So anyone that's watching, I guess, just trying to study and understand where you're going before you're there helps as well, you know. So yeah, that's what I would say.
For sure. And Paco, as an agent, did you look for specific teams that would fit Sammy's playing style first?
Absolutely.
try to push those?
Absolutely. Sammy can play multiple styles, multiple positions, and he plays modern day football. Nowadays, modern day football is you touch the ball 2 times less before making a pass or you're making a shot the majority of the time. So that was the goal, finding teams that would fit Sammy's play style. So he'll fit easily in the coach's roster. Pittsburgh, he was able to get good minutes and make an impact in games. Other teams that we explored as well, some in the MLS, some in the USL, that fit Sammy's profile of player.
Yeah, and it requires a bit of kind of intimate knowledge on your behalf of Sammy's movements and Sammy's styles and what you're going to represent.
Studying Sammy's game, and at the same time I'm studying what's going on in the league, what's going on in USL, what's going on in MLS. If Scalotto, for instance, is coming in from Boca Juniors and now he's managing LA Galaxy and they're playing a 4-3-3. I'm thinking, all right, well, would Sammy make an impact with this system? If he goes to Galaxy or Galaxy 2, yes, so I check a box there, and then I'm analyzing all the MLS, USL teams, maybe even a few abroad, where I think Sammy will fit, because I think that's what gets the attention of coaches. That's what gets the attention of these GMs. Right. First off, he has the profile, all conference, etc. He came up big in the big games. Cool, he's the game changer. Second, can he fit in this system? And that was a very important thing I had to research before contacting the teams. You don't want to waste coach's time, and you want the best possible option. You can't waste Sammy's time either for traveling.
Right. Yeah. That's the specific knowledge that goes into getting a player into a place. And Sam, I'm sure that you kind of benefited from this in-depth analysis of as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, me and Paco kind of grew up together, so like we went to middle school, so he watched kind of me grow. He watched me progress from me being like 5'1" to like where I am now, so he watched me grow. So he kind of understands, what fits me, what suits me, and help me actually find the right places.
And even beforehand, like, as a player doing your homework, right? So if a team called that they call me, hey, I'm interested in Sammy, I'd let Sammy know, and then I'd tell Sammy, all right, now let's watch footage of this team and this coach. Let's see what they play, and then we watch footage. We're studying. We're kind of seeing, okay, this is what they're looking for. This is what they lack. So then going into, his trial or going into his first practice, Sammy already has, a good idea going in there, kind of like preparing for an interview. That trial is Sammy's interview. So he's going in there already prepared, having studied the organization, their tactics, and understanding what the coaches want.
Right.
And I think that's brought him some success.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of people don't realize how much studying has to go into the sport that's off of the pitch, right? As far as how you present yourself going into these trials and combines, that you've had to do all that homework off of the field before you can even step on. That's a fantastic point. So with all of that knowledge, what pressures have you dealt with as a professional? The rigor of the training, the being, in a larger fan base, the biggest pressures that you've had to deal with as a professional.
I mean, first, just getting your foot in the door, like it's cool to get trials, like to get coaches to say, hey, Sammy, can you come on these trials? But you're going to trial and just the pressure to be able to like get your first contract. Your first contract obviously is the hardest. And anything that we do, the first thing is always the most challenging thing we do,
Right.
So obviously, I guess just getting the first contract and just knowing exactly where you are after leaving a trial or like a combine or something, and just not knowing what's next was the most challenging. But beside that, after you're kind of like after you're in, you're signed, then after that is just on performance from there.
Right. How did you keep your performance consistent?
In the pros or
Yeah.
before?
I mean, either way, because consistency is key, and I think you've demonstrated thus far that you can be consistent and show up in big ways.
Right. Just having good habits, man. Just sticking to your good habits, and obviously the bad habits, just trying to do as much as you can to minimize those, and just sticking to what you know and what's been working throughout the process. Just trusting the process. That's about it.
Right. Brilliant. So as we're kind of coming down to the end, do you have any advice for players that are kind of seeking that first contract or that next step?
I guess resilience, man. That's a key word.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to bounce back, because football at the end of the day, it's a game of opinion. So like you can go on one trial and hey, that it didn't work out. You know what I mean? So I go on, if I'm a coach and I see a player, hey, that player might not fit the system. So it's his opinion. That doesn't mean you're not a bad player. So you got to have that resilience. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing, and it'll happen, man. Just trust the process. And like I said, when we started this talk, hard work, man. Hard work beats talents any given day when talent doesn't work hard. So you gotta just grit, man. Work hard, and just keep a resilience, man. Just have that. Hey, if this doesn't work out, I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna try. If I'm not good for this coach, that doesn't mean I'm not that doesn't mean I'm a bad player. That means, hey, I might not fit this system, or this coach already has a player in my position. So I just go on to the next. So just being able to bounce back, I think, like we did with me and Paco with my journey. I went to, before I got my first contract. Hey, I tell you, it was not flying colors. Like we went again, like New York, North Carolina. We went to Lansing. So like it was a journey. It was a roller coaster ride. So it's just having that resilience. Hey, this guy says I'm not good enough. That's fine. I'm gonna go show the next coach that I'm gonna fit this guy's system. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get called back. Just keep pushing, and just, you know, when stuff don't go wrong, just not heading your head down and just bouncing back.
Yeah.
I think that's very important.
That's brilliant. I can see that it's also helped you a lot, keeping that in mind during your journey.
Right.
So that's really good stuff. Paco, do you have as an agent, any advice for guys that want to follow in Sammy's footsteps?
I always say, don't stay complacent, you know, where you are. Always see yourself at the next level. Take it a step at a time, but always see yourself at the next level. Because if you think you're already at the top of the world, believe me, soccer is a beautiful game, but it could be a cruel game, because there's millions of other kids and players out there that want that same dream.
Okay.
And there's always someone there working harder.
Yeah. A lot of players, man. Even in the USA, man, it's a lot of players nowadays.
Yeah, I know as a scout, we're not necessarily scouting people. We're scouting replacements for the current team, which makes it makes it a little bit difficult, because as a scout, like, hey, I'm trying to replace this person, so that guy needs to really keep it together.
Right, exactly.
And in addition to that, with scouting, talent and skill is extremely important. Also, character.
Yeah.
That it's crucial. You know, when looking for a player, you want to see how good they are, but then you also want to get a glimpse, almost like a first impression of the type of person they are. You know, if they're losing, you know, is this player gonna give up and point the finger at everyone, or, you know, is he gonna put the team on his shoulder and push everyone through? You know, these are things that scouts and coaches, staff, they're observing.
Yeah.
You don't think so, but they are. And you know, the team may have had a bad game, but if you made an impact, it will be noticed. It will be noticed.
Yeah. So I know you've done a lot of the combines. How did you get your character to come across while you're on a trial?
Just sticking to what you know, man. Just whatever got me here is what brought me to this spot.
Right.
Just sticking to that plan and just persevering and just pushing through everything.
Yeah.
That helped. And also, I think for everyone else that might be tuning in or even in the future that's watching this, I think for young players, we need to set goals. It could be short-term goal where I need to be. It could be like a long-term goal. What is your goal? So you have to actually write those things down and just even if you put them by your wall, just see them every day. I think that those things help because it keeps you going. It keeps you look at that every day. You're gonna be motivated to keep working. So I think just jotting down some notes, man, of having goals, short-term goals, long-term goals, whatever it is, where you see yourself in after you play a year, your growth. I think that matters a lot. That helps.
And we did get a question that kind of ties into that. It says it sounds like a lot of hard work getting to where you are. Did either of you ever want to give up? If so, why? And how did your resiliency kind of deny that?
I'll take that.
You can't give up. I'm gonna tell you right now. Even the guys you guys watch on TV, man, like the Messi's, Ronaldo, like I'm telling you, those guys are going. There's hardship behind the scenes. There's excruciating hard work that goes behind the scenes. Like guys have bad days, man, but you can't give up. You can't give up because the best things in life are not meant to be easy. If being a pro player was easy, then there'd be like a million pro teams, right? A million pro.
That's true. That's very factual.
And I think that's what the filter is. As you get older, the competition gets harder, and then it filters out. You start to get to see who can really hang, and if they can't hang, they quit, or they make some changes to then be able to hang and then get even better.
Right. Perfect. So I want to thank you guys for coming on. And then the last thing that I have is kind of next steps for the future. What does the future hold? What are your biggest plans? And then where are you going next after the quarantine is over?
To me or to Paco?
Both of you, because part of it is packaged together.
Right. As of right now, I mean, just keeping a level head and trying to stay again, take care of your bodies and stay fit, eating the right stuff and just staying focused and your goal. My goal, obviously, go back into the league. Find a team. Obviously, COVID can't really do much at the moment, but just staying focused and hopefully by the end of this quarantine, we get an opportunity, maybe go on a trial or get a call saying, hey, we need this type of player, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
And I think it's just being vigilant on what's going on in the news around the league. I think that's the biggest thing. Right now, we're just kind of waiting to see what happens next with MLS and USL and what the plans are, if there's even going to be a season, and then ready to act upon that. But for the meantime, just making sure we're doing the most that we can do at the moment, staying fit, staying healthy, and then just constantly just staying up to date on what's going on so we can seize any opportunities.
Yeah, sounds like some good concrete next steps.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on, guys. This was our first Rain Talks. So appreciate you guys kind of being the debut of what we're setting up for a web series. So I hope you guys stay healthy, stay on the grind, and stay safe. And we'll see you after this.
Thank you. You guys do the same. Stay safe. Stay inside.
Later, guys.
All right, later.
All right. See you guys.